Greetings, everyone. I'm Dr. Ali Danish. I'm an audiologist and a university professor. My research concentrates on tinnitus, hearing loss, balance disorders, and conditions such as hyperacusis and misophonia, and of course, vestibular disorders. I'm happy to share my work with you by preparing these videos. I hope you enjoy watching them. Thank you.
That feeling after a loud concert when your ears are ringing? You kind of wonder, did I just do some permanent damage? Well, for a lot of people, that damage is permanent. But what if it didn't have to be? What if we could actually teach our bodies to regrow one of its most delicate and important parts? Let's get into the incredible science that's trying to make that happen. So, just how big of a deal is this? Well, let's start with this number. A full 17% of adults in the US report some degree of hearing loss. That's not a small number. We're talking about tens of millions of people. And that leads to the really big question. You know, the one scientists have been chasing for years. Why? For most of these people, why is the damage permanent? Why can't our bodies just fix it? Well, the answer is hidden deep, deep inside our ears. To find that answer, we've got to understand what's really going on at a microscopic level when our world starts to fade to silent. Okay, so it all comes down to these tiny, amazing things called hair cells. They're tucked away deep inside your inner ear. And no, they're not like the hair on your head. They're these super specialized cells that basically work as translators. They take the physical vibrations of sound and turn them into electrical signals your brain can understand. It's how you hear everything. Here's the best way to picture it. On the left, you see healthy hair cells. They look like a dense, perfectly organized city skyline. Now look at the right. After they're damaged, it's like an earthquake has leveled that city. The buildings are just gone. They're flattened, broken, and they can't do their job anymore. So what causes this earthquake? Well, the usual suspects are things a lot of us deal with. Being around loud noises for too long. Just the simple process of getting older. Some important medications that just happen to be toxic to the ear. And yeah, sometimes it's just in our genes. And here's the real kicker. In mammals, and that includes us, once those buildings fall down, our body's repair crew just doesn't have the instructions to rebuild them. They're gone, and they're gone for good. Or at least, that's what we all used to believe. But then, scientists started looking around the rest of the animal kingdom, and they found something absolutely amazing. It turns out, nature has been hiding a remarkable secret. You're not gonna believe this, but it turns out we're the odd ones out. Birds, fish, sharks, amphibians, they can all do something we can't. If their hair cells get damaged, their bodies just go, no problem, and grow new ones. For them, the damage isn't permanent. They can just regenerate them. So how in the world do they do that? It's a process called hair cell regeneration. See, right next to the hair cells are these other supporting cells. Think of them as the support crew. In these other animals, when there's damage, the support crew gets a signal and they spring into action. They either morph into new hair cells or they divide to create one. The key is, the spare parts are already there, just waiting for the right call. This discovery just changed the whole game. All of a sudden, the mission became crystal clear. The challenge wasn't to build something from nothing. It was to figure out why the instruction manual that works perfectly in a chicken is turned off in a human. And the big question became, can we figure out how to turn it back on? This hunt for an answer led researchers down two incredible paths. The first one was a search for what you could call the body's master switch. And they found it. It's a gene called ATAHO1. Think of it as the foreman on the job site. Before we're born, ATAHO1 is screaming orders, telling cells to become hair cells. But after we're born, the foreman clocks out. The gene goes silent and the construction site just shuts down. Okay, so the brilliant idea became, what if we could send that foreman back to work? Well, with gene therapy, they can. They take the HO1 gene, they stick it inside a harmless virus, which basically acts like a tiny delivery truck, and they send that truck into the inner ear. It drops off its cargo, the HO1 gene, right to the supporting cells, and flips that master switch back on, telling them, all right, everyone, back to work. And you know what? It worked. It actually worked. In these groundbreaking studies with deafened guinea pigs, this exact method got them to grow new hair cells, and even more amazing, it actually restored some of their hearing. This was it. This was the proof that the whole idea was possible. But that's not the only way to get the factory going again. There's another way to flip the switch, and this one's a little more direct. And this is my favorite part of the story, because like a lot of huge scientific discoveries, this one happened almost completely by accident. See, if Auto1 is the on switch, it turns out there's also a really powerful off switch that's always on in adults. And that off switch is something called notch signaling. If ATAL1 is the green light telling cells to go, 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 notch is a giant permanent red light. It's a stop sign telling those supporting cells, nope, don't change, don't do anything, just stay right where you are. Now here's where the happy accident comes in. Scientists were working on a drug for Alzheimer's disease, and they noticed it had this really weird side effect. It blocked that notch pathway. It basically took down the stop sign. The drug ended up being a bust for Alzheimer's, but they realized it might be the key to hearing regeneration. So they tried it. They took mice that had noise-induced hearing loss, and they applied the drug. The result? It was incredible. The mice grew new, working hair cells, and their hearing improved by about 20% on average. 20%! That's a huge win. So where does that leave us? I mean, think about it. We've gone from thinking hearing loss is a one-way street to having two different scientifically proven ways to reverse it in a lab. This is the future of hearing, and it's coming into focus. The lead researcher on that drug study, Dr. Albert Edge at Harvard Medical School, he put it perfectly. He just said, "We show that hair cells can be regenerated from the surrounding cells in the cochlea. It's not a theory anymore. The fundamental barrier has been broken." So now we have these two amazing paths to restoring sound. We can use gene therapy to turn on that master switch gene, ATOF1, or we can use drug therapy to turn off the stop sign pathway that's been holding things back. They're two sides of the same incredible coin. We've started the journey from seeing that collapsed city of cells to actually knowing how to rebuild it, building by building. The science is there, it's proven it can be done. And that leaves all of us with one final and very hopeful question. We've learned how to flip the switch in the lab. So how long until we can do it in the clinic?